Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Well, hi there again, everybody. This is Rob Godlewski with the Think Small podcast. And today our guest is Patrik Barr. And Patrik is the director of sales for Bright Pharma Caps, a maker of capsules for medications and supplements. Patrik, thanks so much for being here today on the Think Small podcast.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, Bright Pharma Caps is a really interesting name for a really interesting product. So tell us a little bit about the company, the product, and how you got started, in this line of work and with the company itself.
Sure. My wife, Tess Barr, who's one of the owners of Bright Pharma Caps, has long been a formulator in the nutritional business. And one of the products she was doing, she was sourcing some of the ingredients from China. And she met Carl Chow, who is another part of our company. His wife is another one of the owners.
Okay.
So it was through that and different adventures we'd had in nutritional for 20 years that Carl said, where I was kind of in between jobs, well, why don't you start? He had the business first in Canada. He said, I think you'd do a lot better with this in the U.S. Why don't you try it? So we went to one of the early trade shows and talked to some of the people there, and they had interest in our products. So I started basically in our garage, and then we got a warehouse here in Hood River, eventually moved to Portland. And then the hotbeds of nutrition are Long Island and New Jersey, Salt Lake City, LA. So now we have warehouses in all those factories or cities as our business began to grow. I made good relations with some of the major manufacturers, and we were able to deliver clean capsules at a price that got us business. Our partners were from China, so we set up our own factory in China in a region where they were from, and now we're the largest manufacturer in that area, but really just developed through innovation, through doing clean products. The people we have in China, not only Tess and Carl, but the people at the factory in China are very sharp, and we do things that other people haven't done. One is our manufacturing lines are electromagnetically driven, where most are hydraulic. So we have less vibration, so we can make our two-piece capsules manufactured to tighter tolerances. So in the high-speed machines, they tend to run better. We sourced our raw ingredients and really looked into them. We found a lot of the material, the major material in vegetarian type two-piece capsules is cellulose. And some of the cellulose out there is not really clean. I mean, it's a chemically developed product. So there's some contaminants that we were finding. And so we really tried to find the cleanest. They were a little more expensive, but we went with the cleanest. And that got us business and got us recognized. But what really has been the feather in our cap and the driving force behind Bright Pharma Caps is we developed organic certified capsules. Nobody had done that. The organic market is a booming segment. And until we developed an organic capsule, you could not do an encapsulated product, which is the preferred delivery method in nutritional products, is to take a capsule. There's
Sure, makes sense.
Tablets, liquids, there's gummies, there's other things, but the capsule and a lot of the organic products being powdered, a capsule is what was needed. But even though the capsule is a small part of the overall product, it still is enough that you couldn't get full organic certified. When you get organic certified, you get to put the little green USDA seal on your product. And as I say, it makes your product fly off the shelf. So that was the big one for us. And there's others that have tried it and others that seem to be trying to make it to the market. But we're the ones that were the first and original, and it's really made our business go great.
So are you the only certified organic capsule in the market today?
Well, we were the first. There's others that have tried.
Okay.
The original company that said they had it and they didn't, and then they went after us, and put us through a horrible lawsuit. And they actually took us off the market for a while, saying that we violated their patents, and we didn't. We finally got them to settle, but we were off the market for a few years.
Oh, wow.
They say they have one, but I think there's issues in what they can produce in terms of maybe quantity, their pricing. There's been other issues. There's been other ones that have done it, China, like us, but I haven't seen the total perfect paperwork backing it up, and I've heard issues with them running. If it was easy, there'd be a lot of other people doing it, but
it sounds like, yeah. Sounds like a relatively complex product to actually produce and distribute.
Well, it is. And the raw material and the organic one is poulalon, and that's a polysaccharide. And finding organic poulalon, there was virtually nobody doing that. We tried to get one company to do it for us. That worked for a while, but they had some contamination at the factory. So while we're off the market, we developed our own plant. Now we have 2 plants. We make our own organic poulalon.
Oh, wow.
So
you're literally growing the raw material yourself.
Well, we source the raw material from Indonesia, Malaysia, and then and that's basically the raw that we have to then develop into a liquid gel kind of to make the capsules, and that is at the factory. So it's made from a starch. We can source different starches, but then we have to. It's grown kind of like a mushroom, so it's kind of a fermentation process to make the poulalon. So we have 2 factories of our own that do that, so we can keep up with the demand, because in spite of the tariffs and rising fuel costs, our growth for our organic capsules keeps growing.
Right. So the business started in as early as 1999, right? And
yes,
you've been there a little over 10 years or so, correct?
Right.
So you go ahead.
We were doing it under another name, JC Bright. We were doing it, and we didn't have our own factory. We were working through another factory at that point, and we were also involved in soft gels. We were bringing in fish oil soft gels from China. So we were involved in that. They were we had our own lines at another factory, but yes, we finally built our own to have more control.
So clearly in your development of the company and the organization, and in your case, the sales effort, you've seen the peaks and valleys, of times when sales were going crazy, and also when sales are kind of contracting and revenue is slipping. Tell us about a time when revenue was contracting. It sounds like the period when your competitor literally forced you to not sell your product was a pretty hairy experience.
Oh yeah, just the whole lawsuit battle. I mean, that was sleepless nights.
Oh, I'm sure.
We thought we might go under. We hung in there, and the industry really appreciated it. They knew we were battling the big guys. I mean, it took on this whole name that the evil empire was after us, and we were the rebel force. I kind of got that going, and I was at a trade show, and I heard behind me people talking, and they were describing the actual suit, and they were using those terms. And the guy who's with looked at me, and he says, "It looks like it's stuck." But so, I mean, when we came back, we were recognized at some big conventions where they would recognize us and have us stand up. Very emotional for us both, and just say, these are the 2 hardest working people in our industry, and they have done more for developing organics than any other 2 people. So it's been pretty rewarding.
So how long of a period was that when you literally could not sell your product?
It was about 3 years.
Oh my goodness, Patrick. I'm sure that would have put many other businesses underwater. How did you survive that?
Well, we still had the other capsules, so we could still keep selling the other capsules. We just couldn't sell the organic.
Okay.
And that was still early on, but I had to cancel over $1 million in open POs. So,
gosh.
As a guy that works on commission, that was a pretty big hit.
Sure, of course. So,
but
But you worked through the lawsuit, you found a solution to it, and you were able to start reselling. Yeah.
Yeah. And they came back and it was great. But, there's other peaks and valleys. The COVID situation, when it first hit, the shipping from China was so tough. It disrupted
Yes, it
all
was.
the things in the ports. But then when people realized that supplements and vitamins could actually boost your immune system, the business really took off a lot for everybody. The capsule business, again, got oversaturated because of that. New players kept coming on the market because they knew how many capsules people needed. And then that caused abundance of them, and people started selling below cost to dump them. It brought on a whole suit from the investigation Department of Commerce on anti-dumping. We had to spend over $1 million battling that, and we finally won. We didn't get anti-dumping, where all the other capsule companies from China and India that did, they got caught for it, but we didn't, so we escaped that. And that's still, for some of these people, over 20%, which is pretty tough to absorb. But I'm really noticing right now, because of, I think it's the fuel costs, a lot of it, the cost of living going up. I've talked to some of our buyers wondering why I haven't seen orders, and they're seeing it's really starting to hit. People are reining in spending. And one of the things that some people are willing to cut is buying nutritional products. And this is only developed in the last couple of weeks, where I'm actually talking and hearing from people that are confirming this. And so I think on a larger scale, people are going to see that. It isn't just me and my capsule business that is going to be affected. It's going to be affecting a lot of people.
So kind of going back to the COVID period, I speak to so many CEOs for this podcast that they all have kind of a different story about their COVID experience. And honestly, it seems to be the worst of times and the best of times. And sometimes it's actually both in the same period, right? There were terrible contractions and supply chain constraints up front, but in your case, it opened up a market, and people wanted to stay at home and they were focusing on their health, like you said, and supplements built up immune systems, and I'm sure that you saw both sides of that coin. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
From the other side of the standpoint, though, Patrik, talk to us about a period when, outside of COVID, when there was a rapid increase or a big boost in sales. And it probably was maybe when you were able to start reselling your organic capsules. Talk to me about how you managed, the business through that time period.
Well, we knew that when we came back, because we already had some customers that we had to cut off. So we knew they would be wanting them, and we couldn't even ship till a certain date. So it isn't like we could have warehouses full and ready. We couldn't even bring them into the U.S. till a certain date. And we didn't want to overpromise. That's what that other company did. They told people that they were going to have them in a year, in 6 months, and they kept promising and never delivered. I did not want to be that person. So we did virtually no advertising until we really got them out there. And really, it's only been in the last 2 or 3 years that we really know that we can maintain the supply chain. We know we can maintain manufacturing, where we're really going after new customers and willing to take on new customers, because every single customer that we've let have these has seen growth. The product gets the market, and it might not grow immediately. For a lot of this, they have to make all new labels, all new packaging. But when they get out there, finally hit the stores, they see it take off. So I didn't want to overpromise, say, I have enough to get you going, but I'm not going to have enough to when you take off. But so we knew that was happening, and we know we can keep up. The one thing that I've always maintained is I never wanted to have warehouses full of too much product. Then you're having to pay to store them. These have to be refrigerated refrigerated warehouses. The storage can be expensive. And
absolutely,
there is a certain shelf life. I wanted to maintain that. But, now, and that's why when I take on new customers, I try to get maybe a projection. I say, I know you can't give me a perfect projection, but if you just let me know and try to give me lead times, I don't want them sitting in warehouses too long, but I don't want to not have them when you're ready. So that's built up good communication for me and the buyers. And I haven't really let anybody down. Between our 4 or 5 different warehouses, I can always bring them from somewhere else. See, if I have a LA customer that needs them, for some reason, maybe I didn't get what I thought I was going to have, I can bring them from Salt Lake or Miami or even New York.
There you go. Okay. So did you find though that once your customers were able to market the fact that they had a fully organic product and they could put that seal on your product or on their product because of your product, were your customers telling you that that really increased their sales of their products?
Oh yeah, I mean it was huge. It was huge. Like I say, to be able to finally they couldn't say made with organic, and you don't get the USDA seal. But when they could finally say that and have that on their product, I mean, it was already known from other products, not just encapsulated. It was already known on maybe food products that once you get that seal, when you can get your whole supply chain fully organic certified, get that USDA seal, it's a big deal.
Excellent. That's great. So with that increase in business, how did you manage the business through that, right? How did not only operationally, but from the human side, did you have to add resources or now you did say that you had to be relatively pragmatic with your customers and kind of not over promising, but walk us through that a little bit.
Well, the biggest growth that we had to maintain was at the factory level in that, it doesn't take a lot of people to sell. I'm running leaner right now than I ever have. Our office, it's basically Tess, Susan, and I. We run lean. We have great warehouses that work with us really well and can maintain pretty much all our warehouses are either same day or next day delivery. And this business, that's unusual. And we've struggled through losing a certain warehouse and having to go find a new one, and that one didn't work, and trying to have that. Because in this industry, in the contract manufacturing with capsules, they don't want to warehouse it. So they set up their manufacturing times, dates, hours. They want capsule there then. They don't want them sitting out for a month getting ready for it. So
your customers, you mean?
Yes.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Industry-wide in capsule manufacturing. And some warehouses don't get that. They get an order and, oh, yeah, okay, we'll get it delivered next week. That doesn't work in this business. Right. And so it's tough sometimes to get people that realize that's how I stay in business. That's how I get the orders because I can deliver when they want it. So, it puts a lot of stress on some of this, but, we pretty much have really good people that are willing to jump and work hard.
So it sounds like you're using third-party logistics providers. You don't own the warehouses that you're using. Right.
No, we owned the first one, but we outgrew that really fast.
Sure.
These are, and then like I say, to find ones that know capsule business. So some of there are other capsule manufacturers, they're in there too, because to find, it has to be pretty much at 50 to 60 degrees.
Oh,
it's
wow.
not a frozen warehouse. It's not just chilled. So there's a temperature that needs to maintain. It has to have certain humidity. Can't be too moist, which refrigeration can make things moist. So places like Salt Lake and more like Miami, and maybe I had one in Arizona for a while, but that was just too difficult. It gets so hot sometimes and so dry. Then they get their rains and it's so moist. It's just warehouse. It to maintain the HVAC equipment to do that, the warehouse can be too costly. So it's easier for me to have one in Los Angeles and ship to Phoenix.
So Patrik, let's talk about then the future. What does the next, say, 3 to 5 years look like for Bright Pharma Caps?
Well, I think it's going to be continued growth. There's an issue at some point where, I'm 75 and I keep hearing that R word, but, I love my work. I'm healthy. I love my work. So, I'm not ready to walk away.
Yeah.
But I guess at some point, if I'm not, I'm going to drop over. So there's something down there at some point. And I know my wife would like to possibly travel a little more. So, I mean, there's issues like that, but it's still an exciting time for us. We're developing a liquid filled organic capsule, and that will be another new first. We're real close.
So the capsule itself would be liquid filled?
No, it can fill basically the same capsules, but you will put an organic oil inside.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And but it's really tricky using Poulalon to seal it. The seal in liquid cap. There are other people doing liquid capsules, but so far I haven't seen any organic liquid fill. So again, that would be a big. We've been working on it for probably close to 10 years, and they still not ready to bring it to the U.S. market. There's been issues getting the certification in China of this. It'd be a different phase of our factory, but to me, it's been a priority. I just can't get the fire hot enough under the guys at the factory to get it over here. But that would be something I'd really like to see in the next year, even.
Okay, all right. What are some other possible innovations around the product line that you see in the near future?
Well, being able to do those oils will bring a lot to the market. Another capsule we have that's been good for the market is we have a delayed release. So it doesn't release in the stomach. It gets to the intestines. That's important for things like probiotics. Some of the fastest selling probiotics. Sure. Use our capsules. We call it gastric acid resistant. There's been delayed release capsules, but they don't really do what ours do. I mean, we've had people test others. You're supposed to get at least 20 or 30, even an hour. And some of these go get like 17 minutes, even though they're promising 30. Ours do what they say, to the point that they're even pharmaceutically approved. So you have to.
Interesting.
It has to be real to get it through them. So I see growth in that too. So that's a whole nother division for us.
Okay. So what could possibly be holding you back in executing on these growth initiatives?
Well, the liquid, being able to get that, I think it will go much bigger if we can get those machines here. And you got to team up with somebody you can trust. There's different levels where, we've thought, maybe we should just do it, because, you make a lot more money if you're selling an end product than if you're just developing the capsule. And it's not like we need more work, or at this point, even more money. If I'm just saying, let's just let people do it. We'll do okay on it. But there's still been issues. We had patents on it. And until all the patents fully got approved, we didn't really want to release it, because people can copy things real quickly. So it's gone a lot slower. I've got some big customers that are just driving, saying, please get it over here. So we're trying to get some tests run for them so they can see it's real. But I just really like to think we'd get it in the next year.
Okay, excellent. Well, listen, Patrik, this has been a real education. I'm sure it'll be a really interesting conversation for our podcast community.
Great.
Patrik Barr, Director of Sales for Bright Pharma Caps. Thank you so much for joining us on the Think Small podcast.
Great. Thanks, Rob. It's been a pleasure.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?